Imagine sailing through the vast oceans, only to realize that certain waters are completely off limits. Not because of storms or dangerous sea creatures, but because of politics, sanctions, and hidden risks. In today's world, Russian waters have become a no-go zone for many countries. But why? What's really happening in these waters that's making nations stay away? Stay with me, because the truth is shocking. The world's oceans are highways for global trade, but some routes are safer than others. Over the years, Russian waters, especially in the Arctic and the Black Sea, have become more and more isolated. Major shipping companies, fishing fleets, and even oil tankers are steering clear. But it's not just about politics, there are deeper reasons why countries are avoiding these waters, and some of them are downright terrifying. Let's break it all down. Why are Russian waters becoming a no-go zone? Number 1. Western sanctions and economic pressure. One of the biggest reasons countries are avoiding Russian waters is sanctions. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Western nations hit Russia with some of the toughest economic restrictions in history. These sanctions affected almost every part of Russia's economy, including its maritime industry. Here's how it works. Many Western shipping companies are banned from doing business with Russian ports. That means they can't stop there, refuel, or transport goods to and from Russia. Insurance companies refuse to cover ships traveling through Russian waters, making it too risky for businesses to operate there. The European Union and the United States put price caps on Russian oil, so transporting it through Russian-controlled routes is a financial nightmare. All of this has led to a massive drop in international traffic in Russian waters. But this is just the beginning, things get even more serious. Number 2. The risk of seizures and attacks. Imagine being a ship captain, sailing near Russian-controlled waters, and suddenly, you're surrounded by Russian naval forces. Your ship is ordered to stop. You have no idea what's going to happen next. Sounds like something out of a movie, right? Well, it's real. Russia has seized multiple foreign ships in recent years, especially those near the Black Sea. There have been incidents where Russian forces have fired warning shots at cargo vessels. With tensions high, many captains would rather take a longer route than risk sailing near Russia. This isn't paranoia, it's self-protection. No company wants its ship to be seized, its crew arrested, or its cargo lost. And here's the real kicker, some countries are even advising their citizens to avoid Russian waters entirely. They don't want to take any risks. Number 3. Military activities and unpredictable naval presence. Russia isn't just a country, it's a military powerhouse with one of the most advanced naval forces in the world. And that's another reason why countries are keeping their distance. In the Arctic, Russia has been increasing its military presence, setting up bases and conducting naval drills. This has made other countries nervous, especially those that rely on Arctic shipping routes. In the Black Sea, Russian warships are everywhere. Since the Ukraine war, this area has turned into a war zone, with missiles and naval mines posing serious threats to ships. For businesses, this is a nightmare. A single mistake, like drifting too close to a restricted area, could mean serious trouble. No one wants to get caught in the middle of military operations. Number 4. The ghost of Nord Stream and underwater attacks. If you thought things couldn't get worse, think again. There's a hidden danger under the sea, sabotage and underwater warfare. Remember the Nord Stream pipeline? The massive pipeline that carried Russian gas to Europe was mysteriously blown up in 2022. To this day, no one knows exactly who did it, but the event changed how countries view Russia's underwater territories. Now, there are fears that underwater infrastructure, like communication cables and oil pipelines, could be attacked. Countries are worried about Russian submarines, which can disrupt trade routes without warning. Underwater mines are another problem, some left over from past wars, others placed more recently. This has made Russia's maritime zones a high-risk area, especially for underwater projects and international shipping companies. Number 5. Environmental risks and Arctic meltdown. Russia controls a huge part of the Arctic Ocean, one of the most fragile environments on Earth. And while climate change is opening new shipping routes, it's also creating new dangers. Melting ice is revealing old Soviet nuclear waste, dumped decades ago in Russian waters. Some of it is still radioactive. Russian industries have been accused of polluting the Arctic with oil spills and chemical waste. Some countries are concerned that Russia isn't following international environmental rules, making it risky to operate near its waters. No one wants to be responsible for an environmental disaster, especially when the world is watching. That's why many countries are choosing to avoid these areas altogether. 6. Cyber threats and GPS jamming. Here's something most people don't think about: cyber warfare at sea. It's real, and it's happening. Russia has been accused of hacking GPS systems and jamming satellite signals, making it extremely dangerous for ships to navigate near its waters. Imagine relying on your GPS in the middle of the ocean, and suddenly, it stops working. That's not just inconvenient, it's life-threatening. Cyber attacks on shipping companies could cause ships to go off course. Jammed GPS signals could lead to accidents or even cause vessels to drift into Russian-controlled zones without realizing it. With digital threats on the rise, many companies and governments are playing it safe and avoiding Russian waters entirely. Number 7. Alternative trade routes and the rise of safer options. At the end of the day, businesses and countries always look for the safest and most cost-effective trade routes. And guess what? There are better alternatives now. China's Belt and Road Initiative is offering new land routes for trade, reducing the need for sea transport through Russian waters. The Middle Corridor, passing through Central Asia and the Caspian Sea, is becoming a popular choice. Countries are investing in rail networks to bypass Russia altogether. With so many options available, why take the risk of sailing near Russia? It's just not worth it. So, why are countries avoiding Russian waters? It's not just one reason. It's a mix of politics, military tensions, economic pressure, cyber threats, and environmental concerns. Sanctions and restrictions have made it difficult to do business there. The risk of ship seizures and military conflicts is too high. Underwater threats, environmental hazards, and cyber attacks make navigation unsafe. Safer and more reliable trade routes mean companies don't need to take the risk. Number 8. The future of Russian waters. So, what's next? Will Russian waters remain a dead zone, or will things return to normal? Here's what could happen. Number 1. Even more military tensions. If the standoff between Russia and NATO is not called off, Russian seas will remain treacherous for years to come. Number 2. New World Order. China, India, and Russia are establishing a parallel global trade system which may confront the West. Number 3. Russia's economy might crash. If giant shipping lines continue to avoid Russia, its economy may contract further. But something is certain. As long as war, sanctions, and international tensions keep going on, Russian waters will be one of the most shunned locations on the planet. The world is changing, and so is the way we use the oceans. While Russian waters were once important for global trade, today, they have become one of the most avoided regions on the map. What do you think? Will Russia find a way to bring ships back to its waters, or is this isolation going to last for years? Let me know in the comments. Did you enjoy this video? Check out other clips of Amazing 7 and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified our latest videos.